Today, we have a special guest lecture from my mentee, Dr. Christine Donat, where she's going to explain the Ultrasound JVP. This lecture was initially presented at the 2026 ACEP Ultrasound Fellow Speaker Symposium, where she came in second place. And you may not believe it, but this technique was first described in the year 2000 by Dr. Bruce Lipton, who happens to be my father, so I hope you enjoy the lecture.
Imagine you've just arrived for your shift at the ED and you hear an overhead message calling you to the resus bay for a medical patient. On arrival, EMS states that this patient has HFrEF and is presenting an undifferentiated shock. You wonder if they'll be able to tolerate fluids, and your resident has thankfully just rolled the ultrasound machine into the room. You get ready to plop the probe down, but you look at their abdomen and see this. The resident on the computer in the corner notes that the patient was recently admitted to the SICU and had a bowel resection, which explains this dressing that you probably don't want to mess with. Seeming to pop out of nowhere, the IM resident rotating through the department says, "Why don't we measure ultrasound JVP instead? We use it on the inpatient side all the time." And that resident was me. Hello, my name's Christine Donat. I'm an internal medicine and emergency medicine ultrasound fellow at Yale, and I'm excited to present to you Ultrasound JVP, Untapped Potential. Now, you may be wondering, what is Ultrasound JVP, or UJVP for short? Well, the best place to start is to refresh on what JVP is exactly and go from there. The bottom line is that JVP is a simple way to estimate right atrial pressure, and in the case of our patient, determine if he is volume overloaded. Though I'm sure you're measuring JVP on every patient that rolls into the resus bay, a quick rundown is that you start with the patient at about 45 degrees and look at the neck veins to find the highest point of elevation they're able to reach. This height is measured to the sternal angle, and then 5 centimeters is added. This additional distance is added to account for distance to the right atrium from the chest wall. More than 8 centimeters is considered elevated. Now, of course, JVP is only estimating right atrial pressure. But if we want to directly measure it, we have to use a Swan Ganz or right heart catheter. A quick reminder on this, depending on when the last time you floated a Swan was, for me, it has been a little while. Right atrial pressure is measured by placing the catheter directly in the middle of the right atrium. It's as simple as looking at the highest pressure tracing on the monitor thereafter. Now, not every patient's JVP is going to be as easy to assess as this patient's. Quite often, factors like obesity, neck length, lighting, and difficulty distinguishing it from carotid pulse can prevent you from getting a reliable measurement. In this case, UJVP will be your friend, and it's easy to do. Here's how it's usually done. You start with the patient at 45 degrees, just like with the physical exam technique. Though, my friend here is a bit more reclined for demonstration purposes. You simply start with the view of the right IJ, marked here in blue, and the carotid, marked here in red. You follow the IJ vein superiorly until it's smaller than the carotid artery for the entire duration of the respiratory cycle. As I slide superiorly on the neck here, you can see the point at which the IJ is smaller than the carotid. The height of the IJ is then measured to the sternal angle. If you don't walk around with 2 rulers, you can measure the distance between your index and middle fingers, for most people around 6 to 7 centimeters, and use this known distance to estimate the JVP elevation. Just like in normal JVP, 5 centimeters is added, and that's it. It takes only a few seconds to get UJVP measurement. Sometimes, it may be difficult to visualize the vein in short axis for one reason or another. So an alternative approach is to visualize the jugular vein in the long axis. This can be seen in the top right. It can be followed superiorly to the tapered meniscus, which resembles a wine bottle, often described as the wine bottle sign. On the bottom right, the view is swept to the common carotid artery to compare their sizes. After comparing the size with the carotid, you can find where the IJ is smaller in comparison and mark it. Practically, you can line this up in the middle of the probe for easier measurement. And that would be about here for this patient. So now you know that UJVP is easy, but then you wonder, is there any evidence that this is any good? And you find this recent article from the Annals of Internal Medicine, which suggests that POCUS UJVP is feasible, reproducible, and accurately predicts elevated CVP in patients undergoing right heart cath, which is the gold standard. This was performed to validate a POCUS assessment of JVP to predict elevated central venous pressure as measured by gold standard of right heart cath. So, there's 2 ways that they assess UJVP in this study. The first is the quantitative UJVP, which was measured with the patient at 45 degrees. This is the same technique that we just discussed. But they also studied a second method as an alternative approach, qualitative JVP. This was instead measured with the patient at 90 degrees and is a little bit more practical for daily practice, especially in the ED. With the patient upright, if the patient had any IJ distension greater than the carotid at any point, then it was considered positive. I like that they did this additional method because I think this could be particularly helpful in real life for our patients that need to be sat upright due to respiratory distress. When they compared right heart cath and UJVP, they were strongly correlated, with a correlation coefficient of 0.79. Area under the curve was also strong, at 0.84, with UJVP greater than 8 centimeters chosen as the optimal threshold for detecting elevated right atrial pressure, which is the same as physical exam. For the quantitative UJVP, measurement greater than 8 centimeters with the patient at 45 degrees had a sensitivity of 73% and a specificity of 79%. This is on par with IVC test characteristics. For the qualitative UJVP, measured at 90 degrees, this had a sensitivity of 55% and a specificity of 95%. What that means is that if the IJ is bigger than the carotid at any point in the neck on ultrasound when the patient's in this position, it's highly specific for elevated right atrial pressure and is a good way to screen for volume overload. As a pro tip, if you want to be even more accurate, you can consider directly measuring the right atrial depth because there are a lot of inaccuracies with the 5 centimeter assumption. This is easy to do too. In order to measure this yourself, start from the parasternal long axis view, and the depth of the non-coronary cusp of the aortic valve at the posterior LVOT can be recorded as the right atrial depth. The non-coronary cusp, marked here in purple, is a good surrogate for right atrial depth because in the parasternal short axis view, this approximately estimates the middle of the right atrium, marked here in orange. So when is this helpful? UJVP can be helpful in patients with abdominal dressings, when bowel gas is obscuring IVC views, in patients with elevated abdominal pressure, such as patients with cirrhosis and ascites, and in patients whose abdomens are not accessible, for example, if a nurse is placing an IV or doing other important tasks. So coming back to our patient now. The patient's upright JVP measurement was positive, which is highly specific for elevated right atrial pressure, and you held off on fluids. They were later admitted to the CCU for cardiogenic shock. Yay! You learned something new from the medicine resident. Whether you can teach them all they need to know of emergency medicine in their 2-week rotation still remains to be determined. A special shout out to Dr. Matt Lipton for being an exceptional mentor for my talk, and also to Dr. Lipton, who happens to be his father, for writing the foundational UJVP paper. Please feel free to reach out at my email, christine.donat@yale.edu, if you have any questions. Thank you.